What's up, guys? Stas here. So the markets did well today. S&P up 0.3%, Dow up 0.6%, Nasdaq up 0.4%, the Russell went up 0.7%. So I want to break down some technicals, go over what happened with the Fed meeting, and of course, I want to share with you guys the top stocks I'm looking to buy now and what stocks I own right now. So make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, go down below, get into the Strive Smart Discord chat, the Facebook group, get some free money from WeBull. 2 stocks valued up to $1,600, and you could also get $10 from M1 Finance and from Coinbase. All of those are free and linked right down below. So let's talk. S&P hit an all-time high today. Take a look at that. All-time high at 3983.87. And you guys remember, we hit an all-time high. I believe it might have been yesterday or the day before. It was recently. It was yesterday, yeah, at about 3980. So we beat it by about 3 points. And that was after Jerome Powell started speaking. We'll talk about the Fed meeting. Actually, we might as well just get into that right now. The markets today were awaiting the Fed meeting. And if you guys saw my morning video today, you noticed how, okay, the markets were downtrending yesterday, and we saw a gap down in the futures. So the futures were gapping down. Again, kind of continuing that downtrend from yesterday's market session. And really, in the anticipation of the Fed, Jerome Powell, the chairman, talking, right? So we saw the market drop, and then as he started talking, going over, the interest rate policy and so forth, doing the Q&As, the market just went ballistic. I mean, the S&P went from 3942 to 3983. That was a 40-point jump. All-time high was hit. And when it comes to some highlights, let me run through some notes I have right here from the Fed meeting. So most of the 18 Fed officials at the meeting still expect to hold short-term interest rates near zero through 2023. So a lot of people now are nervous that the Fed is going to spike interest rates sooner than what they're actually telling us, right? So most of the 18 Fed officials, they still see, okay, near term, the zero, or the interest rates, they're going to stay near zero through 2023, but people think maybe they're going to spike it in 2022 or something, right? But now 7 now expect to start lifting rates in 2022 or 2023, up from 5 in December. So from the last meeting, more people expect the interest rates to be hiked sooner. So that's kind of what I just said, and that is definitely a concern right now, in my opinion. And they also plan to continue buying at least $120 billion per month of Treasury debt and mortgage-backed securities until, quote-unquote, substantial further progress is made towards those objectives. And the officials also expect stronger economic growth, higher inflation, and lower unemployment this year than they did in December. And their median projection showed the U.S. gross domestic product rising 6.5% in 2021, which is interesting, up from their December expectations of 4.2%. So that's quite the jump over the past couple of months there, and that's very good in my opinion, and that's definitely contributed to the V-shot, the opening up of the economy slowly but surely here in the U.S., right? And their median expectation, their median expectation for inflation is to accelerate to 2.4% this year, up from a December projection of 1.8%, but officials expect inflation to slow to 2% in 2022 and 2.1% in 2023, reflecting expectations that this year's pickup in price pressures will be temporary, which Powell has been saying that, right? So we have interest rates at zero. Some think they're going to be there longer than others. People are nervous that they're going to cut, or rather raise those interest rates a lot sooner. That's up for debate. And the U.S. gross domestic product, it's rising from 4.2% expectation 2021 to 6.5%. So that's pretty good. And for me, guys, I mean, look, I don't think inflation is at 2%. I truthfully think it's more than that. I mean, the way they calculate it, sure, it could be 2%. And they think that inflation is not even here yet. That's kind of what Powell is saying. I also don't believe that. So, I mean, I personally don't agree with some things. I think there's a lot of shading. I don't want to say shady, like you're doing something wrong. I'm not here to say that. I mean, you can say what you want at the end of the day, but for me, I think inflation is more than 2%. What do you guys think about that? Drop a comment down below. And overall, I mean, we broke out on this because the market, it was a bit antsy about, the interest rate. Is it going to jump? Is it going to jump up sooner than expected? So I feel like we got some more clarity today. That ended up happening. A big pop in the S&P. All-time high was hit. All that good stuff. And at this point, where could we go? I mean, we could gap up 4,000 maybe. I mean, the RSI on the 4 hour is not too heated, so we could realistically go higher. But overall, I'm expecting a pullback once we get a bit exhausted. We're not too exhausted. The rally's not too exhausted yet, in my opinion. But once we see the next leg up, that is when I think we're going to be exhausted, whether that's at 4,000, 4,050. We're going to need a pullback from there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the S&P here. But short term, again, from the Fed meeting, Jerome Powell, the Q&A, it's looking very good right now in the very short term. And the Nasdaq 100, let's take a look at that very, very quickly here. Nasdaq 100, let me see on the hourly chart. It went up 0.4%, but we're still under a big level of resistance at 13,300. That is where we struggled back in the end of February, beginning of March. We kind of we double topped there and dumped to about the higher, or actually the lower 12,000s, right? That's where the Nasdaq 100 got. So that was a big resistance then. And clearly yesterday we got hit at 13,300, and today we actually failed breaking above it. So in the very short term, that's what I'm looking at. A good sign, though, is we did break the 50 and the 180 moving averages here on the hourly. We're about to see a golden cross, 50 SMA crossing above the 180 SMA. This is all good in the very short term, but 13.3 needs to break. Then I believe NASDAQ 100 is going to 13,600. And maybe from that point, if that breaks, back to that juicy all-time high at 13,800. And yeah, those are some thoughts on the market, breaking down the technicals, kind of what I'm looking at. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and make sure, I know some of you guys didn't hit the like button yet. Make sure to go hit that like button, and let's talk about now what I'm holding. And I didn't really do anything today other than hold on to my positions and kind of wait for this Fed meeting, and I'll probably end up making some moves tomorrow. But you guys know I've been in the same couple of stocks. Tesla is one of them. Ticker symbol TSLA. This ended up going up 3.7% today. And I mean, guys, the head and shoulder, the inverse head and shoulder is there. It's playing out. We filled the gap today from 660 to almost, 700. We closed above 700. So I want to see if the next big gap up comes from 700, probably to about $740. That's right under this 180 simple moving average here at about 755. So if that could happen, I mean, look, from 700 to 750, that's about a 6% move. If 750 were to break, I'm thinking 800 is coming next, which is about another 7%. So Tesla, I'm long. I've been long. I've been buying the dip. And I plan on staying long. This is looking pretty good, this setup right here. I'm loving that. TTCF, let's see how that one did today, guys. I didn't give too much love to TTCF today, but it actually went down. Okay, 1.2%, but big hold here. This is a good sign. It actually held the 50 SMA on the 4 hour here, and it held 21 at a higher low, and it popped up, closed at 2160. So this is a good sign. But you can see clearly we're squeezing between the 180 and the 50 moving averages here. So ultimately, for the bull side of this chart, from a bullish stance, I would want to see 22 break, probably 22.40, and from there we're going to hit my target of 25, in my opinion, which is why I'm still holding on. I'm also still in charge point. Didn't do anything there. This went down 3% today. We'll probably add more to this one later on in this week. SLV is another one that I am still in, guys. And let me just go on a side tangent here. I bought gold, GOLD. This is actually Barrick Gold. I ended up picking up this stock in my long-term portfolio about a week or two ago. I bought it at $19.04, and now it's sitting at a pretty $21.13. So not to toot my own horn, but this gold stock here, and gold stocks in general, I think there's a lot of upside there. I'm already up 10% on my position, and I don't plan on selling it, really. I might even add more into it if it breaks this downtrending channel here at about 21, 22 bucks. So I really like Barrick Gold. I mean, gold stocks, I think there's a lot of potential there, and that's pretty much what I'm doing. And NEO, I'm also still in that one. NEO didn't do much today. Went up 2.5%, but still we're under that 47 level. So, I mean, we got to break $47. That's a big level of resistance. So what are you guys doing? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I would love to know, as always. And make sure, if you guys want to check out my Patreon, I'd actually do buy and sell alerts, call outs. I do morning update videos there. And if you guys just want to have more access to me throughout the day and we could talk more about stocks in depth, what's going on, check it out on Patreon. That's linked right down below if you guys are interested. And let's get right into now. I have about 7 stocks I want to cover today. Stock number 1, or shall I say, it's a SPAC. So SPAC number 1 is IPOE. This is one that's taken SoFi public, and I don't know if it's just me, but I've been seeing inverse head and shoulder patterns every day recently, and it's really in these more tech-oriented plays. I found out to this, I found out that's kind of where they've been in recently. You can see it here clearly. Left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder is completing. Well, it's not really completing. The base of the inverse right shoulder is it's starting, but for it to complete, you guys can see the little zigzag trend line I drew here. It could get up to the mid-20s. That's where I think IPOE could end up going. And right now we're trading at about $19, and it went up 4% today. And I think if this point right here breaks, so watch this, guys. We've been struggling under 20 bucks the past couple of trading days. So if 20 breaks and the 180 moving average breaks here above 21, this is off to the races. So I am not adding quite yet here, but I'm going to wait until $20 breaks. I'm going to set an alert there. If 20 bucks could break, I might nibble a little bit. Then I'll probably wait until 21 breaks, add a little bit more. Then I think momentum will kick in to the point where, again, we'll get to about 25. But the flip side of this is the second we collapse under $17.50, $18 roughly. This neckline right here, the second we break under that, the inverse head and shoulders invalid. We'll probably maybe go down and test those lows, which is not going to be too great. And from a person that wants to get in on the completion of the right shoulder, right? If we broke under the neckline, I would not like that at all. So that's IPOE. I like this one. And let me show you some other tech-oriented plays. I mean, a lot of these look like inverse head and shoulders if you look in real close. And Amazon's no different. Look at this. Left shoulder. We have the left shoulder right here. Look at this. If it wants to go, there we go. Then we have the head right here. And then we have the right shoulder forming. And as we saw, 1.4% green day today, up 43 bucks. That right shoulder sure looks like it wants to complete. And we're nowhere near completion. I think this could end up running to the mid-3200s. Take a look at this chart, guys. Right around this 180 SMA. If we break that at 3200, I think that is where 3250 is going to come, followed by 3350. Those are very key levels on Amazon. 3200 being the 180 moving average, 3250 being a high from the previous couple of weeks, and then we have right here 3350 being the high from the middle of February, end of January, and end of December. So watch out for 32.40. I think that's a first target, followed by 33.50. I think Amazon, guys, I mean, I told you all this. I'm transparent here on the channel. I bought Amazon in my long-term account. I think it was it 1 or 2 shares? It was like a month ago. After they reported earnings, I just added more to my position, right? It was this day right here. After the 2nd of February, right? They popped up to about 34.50, and I was like, screw it. They had great earnings. Why would I? What's the saying? It's like people punish their winners. That's one thing that, yeah, I mean, you can trim off the top of your winners, but if they do well, sometimes I like to add to the company, and that might be stupid. You know, if you think that's dumb, let me know. But they had a good earnings report. Maybe I got a little excited too. I'll be honest, guys. And I bought 2 shares I think it was 2 shares at 3,400, and I've been down on those shares, but I don't care because long term, I think Amazon's going to be more than $3,400 per share, obviously, right? And even in the short term, I think from where we are now, 3,130, 3,200, we could easily get back to 3,400, and we could break right out of that point, 35, 4,000. I think that is where Amazon is headed. So I love that stock. I own it. I've been buying it. I've had it for quite some time now. I think I've owned Amazon for not an incredibly long time, but I think 3 years across my accounts. I mean, I've owned Amazon for a decent time here. And FedEx is another one which I thought they reported earnings today. I was going to get excited, but they actually report earnings tomorrow. And FedEx, I've talked about a lot. I think this stock has been beaten down, and sure, it did well before. It went from 130 to 305, so it had its run. Trust me, it had a massive run. But recently, in the past couple of months, it's dropped down. It's currently off about 14% from its highs, and it's right at a point of resistance at 265, 266, which I think if that breaks, we're going to go straight to the highs from a couple trading days ago, 272. And if 272 breaks, we're going to go straight to maybe 285, 290, followed by eventually, in my opinion, 300. And they've had strong earnings reports as of late. So I want to see if this one's going to follow and be strong as well. And they actually report tomorrow on the 18th after market hours. So this is a must watch, in my opinion. FedEx, ticker symbol FDX, and one that has been in the gutter recently, let's put it that way, is Lordstown Motor, ticker symbol RIDE. They just reported earnings today. Q4 EPS came in at negative 23 cents, down from negative 10 cents year over year. So they lost more money, and I'm not too sure how much in terms of a dollar value. I probably should have wrote that down. Let me see if it's right here. But they lost 23 cents per share, and at this point in time, they do have about $200 million, or actually, no, never mind. Let me rephrase that. They see in 2021, by the year end, they're going to have liquidity at least $200 million in cash and cash equivalents. So they don't have that now necessarily, but by the end of 2021, that is what they are thinking. And yeah, I mean, there was a big short report that came out that destroyed the stock. Is it valid? It very well could be. I'm not a detective. I'm not here to uncover things. I'm not a lawyer either, so I'm not going to say anything that, you know, I mean, that I don't know anything about. I mean, I truly, yeah, I've done my research on Lordstown, but I don't really know what's going on there. I don't know if they're actually a fraud. I mean, we've seen companies that are frauds that people had no idea. I mean, it happens all the time. Well, maybe not all the time, but you guys get the point. We don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, how things are going to shake out, but I think it is worth watching, you know, especially if we get some clarity or some positive piece of news for Lordstown. This could do, maybe it snaps back, or maybe it just drops slowly back to $10. That could happen too. I mean, It's going to be a ride, but and no pun intended there. I just realized I did that by accident. That was good, guys. And I'm watching it. So that's ticker symbol RIDE. Facebook FB is another one here, which is finally breaking out of this wedge. But wait, not too fast. We've been faked out before, back in the middle, actually more towards the beginning of November. We peaked out of the wedge momentarily, but we ended up dumping right back down. We also faked out a little bit in the end of January, but now I think this very well could be for real because we peaked out of the wedge yesterday to 281, and then we ended up pulling back pre-market, testing the wedge resistance as support pretty much, and we ripped right back out above the wedge yet again today, and we hit a higher high. We took the high out from yesterday, so these are very good signs, in my opinion, for the start of a breakout. And I actually shared this on Patreon earlier during the trading day, but I believe eventually Facebook could hit $300, not even in the long term. I'm talking in the next couple of weeks. I mean, 1-2 months even. I think that could happen, especially if the highs from back in the end of January and in the beginning towards the middle of December, those highs at about 287, 286, if those highs break, which we're pretty much at right now, so tomorrow, the next day, it's going to be huge for Facebook. If these highs break, 300, 295 easily is where I think momentum's going to take this stock. So I like Facebook here. Fastly, FSLY is another one. And look at this. Yet again, another inverse head and shoulder. Excuse me, guys. You can see the left shoulder here, the head right here, and then this is the right shoulder, with this being a massive resistance at about $77, which we got hit at yesterday. We failed breaking above it, but we did hold the 50 SMA here on the 4-hour, which is good, but we didn't end up closing above 77 today. We're right under it. So I think this right shoulder is going to complete. The next big gap, you can clearly see it here based on my chart, is from $77. If that breaks, I think $87. That is where we've seen the move made multiple times in the past. 87 is a big resistance from back in July, back in early September. You guys can see also back in the end of November, it was also a resistance. So 77 to about $87. That I'm looking at as a 10, 11, 12% move. And honestly, it could go even more than that, guys. It could break above the 180 moving average at 87, and it could fill the gap to 100, 105. But I don't want to get ahead of it. We have to see if 77 breaks first, and then the dominoes could start falling for Fastly. So I like this one. And the last one is QS, also known as QuantumScape. And I don't want to bore you, but this is yet again another inverse head and shoulder. Would you look at that? The left shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder's right here, as we found support at about 53. Now we're popping to about almost $60. Today it went up 5%. So that's a good sign. The neckline is holding of the inverse head and shoulder at about 53. Very good sign. Now I think the inverse head and shoulder is going to complete. It's got some ways to go. I think it could end up getting to 70, maybe $73 on the higher end, which gives it about 15 to 16% upside from here. So QuantumScape, very much worth watching, technically speaking. But you guys know it could break under this neckline, and if that happens, boom, we could end up testing. I try to say both of those words at the same time, but we could end up testing those lows from a couple trading weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, pretty much. So that's always in the cards, and be mindful of that for all of these inverse head and shoulder patterns. So we're gonna wrap up the video there, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. Make sure to go down below, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to get into the Strive Smart Discord chat, Facebook group. Get yourself 2 stocks from WeBull. Those are, geez, if I could talk, guys. 2 stocks from WeBull. Those are valued up to $1,600. You could also get $10 from M1 Finance, $10 from Coinbase. And if you guys want more access to me throughout the day, buy and sell alerts, call outs, morning update videos, that is on Patreon, also linked right down below. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, keep crushing the markets, guys. Stay safe out there. Peace out.